Hello everyone, welcome to my list of the top 3 support weapons for the launch of Battlefield 5. First things first, I've tried out every single support gun in the game to a more or lesser degree, to give an accurate representation to each of them. All of them have been tried with multiple setups, but I'll only be giving my personal favorite loadouts as well as those loadouts' potential options, instead of every single possible combination for each gun. Lastly, this list is subjective and you might have your own personal favorites or disagree with my list entirely. Feel free to point those out in the comments down below and let me know what you think about my picks. Without further instruction, let's get right into it. Weapon number 1. The KE7, otherwise known as the KE7 due to its already infamous reputation in the community. The starter weapon of the support class has already made quite a name for itself due to its unparalleled accuracy, versatility and ease of use specifically. The initial loadout for the support class comes with the KE7 fully decked out, making it possibly the best starter kit in the entire game to get your feet wet with. The reason for its popularity will become apparent quite quickly once you compare the weapon's stats to the other weapons in the support kit. It boasts one of the highest fire rates of any LMG, the highest accuracy and one of the best control stats to boot. The only real downside to the KE7 is the 25 round mag, which will often make it impossible to get more than 2 kills before needing to reload. Though you will find that this isn't really that bad of a downside when using it, especially with the reduced reload time perk. The KE7 also has one of the best specialization trees in the entire game, with a wide range of potential gameplay altering choices, such as an increase in the rate of fire to make it even more of a beast in medium range engagements, and an increase to accuracy and control for the medium to long range fans among us. Here's my personal favorite setup for the KE7. I like to take the custom stock upgrade for the first row, boosting the accuracy for ADSing while moving ever so slightly. For the second row, I like to go with the recoil buffer for the decreased vertical recoil and the option to choose light bolt for the third row, which increases your rate of fire from 568 to 638, making the KE7 the second fastest firing LMG in the entire kit. For the last row, I usually prefer to go with the faster reload, as the 25 round mag the KE7 comes with by default runs out very quickly with the increased rate of fire of the light bolt perk. We'll be doing lots of reloading, so having those be faster is a huge benefit to us. Alternative setups usually always include the custom stock upgrade, as the enhanced grips upgrade really doesn't help with how terrible hipfire is to begin with. The biggest choice you have with the KE7 is in its second and third row choices, as the second choice locks you into the third row choice automatically, which you will find is a common occurrence for the support weapons. The right side of the tree features increased stationary accuracy, as well as a decrease in the horizontal recoil, favoring a more slow playstyle as you want to stay a bit further behind to make use of those upgrades. The playstyle of the KE7 is pretty similar to that of an assault rifle. You want to stay at roughly medium range and provide lethal fire support from a safe location. Even though you will shine most in engagement at close to medium distance, due to your very high control and accuracy stats, don't be scared to engage enemies at longer distances as well. The KE7 is incredibly accurate even at those ranges. Oftentimes you'll be able to counter-snipe the recons that annoy your fellow teammates with a few well-placed bursts. Additionally, deploying the bipod anywhere possible will transform the weapon into a literal laser gun. Barely any recoil to speak of, though keep in mind, bipoding makes you into an easy target for the enemy snipers. This versatility is one of the reasons you will see this gun quite a lot during your playtime. It's a perfect fit for nearly any situation and can be used in any of the maps in the game without running into too much of an issue. As for optics, it's mostly up to personal preference, but I'm a big fan of the AA sight due to its 1.25x magnification, though the 1x NIDAR sight is definitely a strong contender. I personally don't see the 3x medium scope being of great use unless you are specializing yourself for those medium to long range firefights. But again, up to personal preference. Overall, the KE7 is an absolute beast of a gun at the moment and will be receiving changes, most likely nerfs, in a not so distant future according to a DICE dev on Twitter. Up until then, happy hunting with the KE7! The second weapon on my list is my personal favorite LMG in the entire game, the Lewis gun. Unlocked at support level 10, this weapon is a hidden masterpiece. A lot of people try it out and dismiss it, due to the previously mentioned KE7 being a complete powerhouse that should easily overshadow every other gun in the support kit, if it wasn't for the Lewis gun's third row upgrade. The Lewis gun comes in with a staggering 47 rounds per magazine base ammo count, which puts it at number 1 for all the LMGs in the game. It has an average rate of fire at 540, a decent amount of accuracy and control as well, but isn't quite as accurate or easy to control as the KE7. So why exactly is it my favorite LMG in the game? Let's take a look at the upgrade tree real quick. First row, quite the usual selection for an LMG. either quick aim or faster bullets. This is up to preference, but I would highly recommend the faster bullet upgrade, as you'll be using this bad boy a lot in medium to long range engagements. For the second row, you have to make a choice, as you'll be locked into your third row upgrade as well, just as we've seen previously with the KE7. And this is where the strength of the Lewis gun becomes apparent. The third row upgrade, Extended Magazine, increases the already huge ammo count of the Lewis gun from a 47 to an absolutely staggering 97 rounds per magazine. This means that at a rate of fire of 540, you'll be able to unload lead at any range for over 5.5 seconds without stopping. This is also why the faster bullets upgrade is so useful, as you'll be easily able to suppress and oftentimes kill entire groups of enemies and recons across the map just due to the sheer number of bullets. As I normally use the weapon for medium to long range engagements, the reduced vertical recoil upgrade of the fourth row is a perfect fit, as you don't want to use the bipod and lock yourself down to become a target practice for millions of recons that exist in the game. Don't be afraid to just hold down that left mouse button and empty your entire magazine over the entire length of the map. You'll be rewarded with a metric ton of points for suppression and spot assists, as well as often netting a random kill or two from stray bullets hitting targets you didn't even see. As a side note, make absolutely sure you have the machine gun and combat roll equipped if you decide to use this gun as described. It's pretty busted as shown in the gameplay that's running right now. As for optics on the Lewis gun, it's mostly up to personal preference again, and as previously stated, I'm a big fan of the AA sight due to its 1.25x magnification, but as mentioned during the KE7 segment, the 1x reflex sight is definitely a strong contender. I personally don't see the 3x medium range scope being of great use for the Lewis gun in particular, as it's not as accurate as the KE7 and bumps around a lot during medium to long range engagements. Stick with the AA sight and mag dumping for those situations instead. The Lewis gun shines in medium range engagements, and as such is best used in more open maps that will allow you to flank your opponents and make use of the 97 round mag to mow down entire squads without breaking a sweat. It struggles a bit in smaller maps, but the high ammo count will allow you to skillfully make up for your lack of fire rate with pre-firing in those close quarter situations. As such, it's a good fit for pretty much every map, but really shines in the more open maps like Twisted Steel and Narvik, where you can just go ham with your huge mag capacity and suppress the entire enemy team. Stay on your feet, move around, and bring down the lead rain on your enemies. You'll be surprised how many points you'll be able to rake up just through suppression and spot assists alone. The third and last weapon on our list will probably be on everybody else's lists as well. As pretty much everyone guessed from the intro gameplay, it's the MG42. With DICE adding the MMGs as a new weapon class in Battlefield 5, everyone was worried about how they would play, especially with the extremely restrictive playstyle of having to bipod before you can ADS. I'm happy to announce that the MMGs, the MG34 and MG42, are among the best weapons in the entire game, and the MG42 specifically is probably the most fun weapon I've ever used in a Battlefield game to date. With that praise out of the way, there are negatives to the weapon, specifically the fact that it's reliant on the bipod system to work flawlessly, which it currently does not, as otherwise all you can do is hipfire. The bipod often refuses to deploys in a way that makes it impossible to shoot over simple things as sandbags, completely breaks your ADS until you re-ADS, and many more issues. Specifically on the maps Devastation and Hamada, these issues are very prevalent. I really hope that DICE is going to fix the bipod system in the very near future, as it's considerably hampering the enjoyment one can have with the MMG specifically. Now let's get into the setup. I prefer to take the recoil buffer, as the weapon has quite the huge amount of recoil, though the increased bullet velocity is also a completely fair way of playing the gun. After this, I only really see a point to be made for the increased belt capacity, to increase the ammo per belt count from 50 to 250, as well as taking the already locked in reduction in heat buildup so you can fire up to 100 rounds before you overheat the gun. The left side for row 2 and 3 seem entirely pointless, as an increase in rate of fire to 1200 with a meager 50 round belt doesn't just sound like a bad idea, it actually plays like that as well. The weapon starts with a base rate of fire of 981, which is more than enough for every situation you might find yourself in. For the fourth row, I normally go for the increased reload speed, though the incendiary bullets are a very valid way of playing, if you are playing primarily on maps with a lot of planes to shoot down. They're very powerful, and they basically transform you into a better, mobile AA. For the choice of optics, personal preference prevails. I personally go with the AA sight, but all four of them work perfectly fine. You want to stay as mobile as possible with the MG42, which sounds quite counterintuitive, considering that the MG gunners were known to dig themselves into a spot and defend it. The reason for that is the amount of recon players in the game. You want to dig yourself into a spot that has a lot of cover from the side, so you can only get shot from the front. Recons are your worst enemy as an MG gunner, so make absolutely sure you cannot be shot from the sides where you're conducting your business on the enemy team. But here comes the mobile part. The second you have lit up a squad or have killed a recon, switch positions. You do not just sit there thinking they're not going to try to kill you. Move and go for another dig spot. Even just 5 meters of difference can and will save your life. Your engagement ranges are pretty much all of them. No, like, seriously. The MG42 can match any distance in the game due to its ridiculous rate of fire, bipod-assisted recoil management, and ammo capacity. You can easily suppress entire teams as a single lonely gunner. Especially with this gun, you want to use the machine gunner perk as well. It will allow you to easily shoot through smoke, kill enemies that are quick peeking from behind cover, and snipe people across the map due to the ease of applying the suppression status effect and thusly your 3D mark for aim. The MG42 is most effective in close to medium range, once set up, but works perfectly fine in any scenario as long as you manage to set up in a moderately safe environment. As such, your favorite maps are maps that have flanking opportunities, narrow corridors with multiple access ways, as well as a wide open map. Meaning you can use this gun on any map in pretty much every circumstance. It requires a lot of game knowledge and foresight to use this gun on attack operations, but it is definitely possible. As a last resort, don't forget you can semi-ADS with the gun while standing or running to tighten the hipfire spread as shown in the intro gameplay section. Do yourself a favor and try this gun out, even if you're not a support player. It's worth it. Trust me. So that was my list of the top 3 support weapons in the game. I'd love to have given some other honorable mentions and recommendations like the M30 drilling, but the video is already long enough as is. Similarly, as stated at the beginning of the video, please share your own opinions on my list as well as your personal favorite weapons and their loadouts down below in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like or dislike button, and check me out over on twitch.tv/lunarwolf. You can find a link to my stream down below in the description as well. Thanks for watching, and keep dropping those ammo pouches.